Hey, I'm Matt Friedlander from minus32heartbeat, and today I'm going to answer questions. At the beginning of 2023, suddenly found myself unemployed, uh, ridiculously broke, and had no idea, um, you know, where money was going to come from. And I had in the apartment a bunch of guitars, a bunch of records, and I started looking around and thinking, okay, well maybe I should sell all of these just to have some money in place and a little less things to worry about, fewer things to worry about. And instead, I did something kind of stupid. I took a credit card and I maxed it out, and I bought all this gear for recording. Put together this little studio in the living room, and then I figured, okay, I have all this gear, I should do something with it. And so I took a crack at recording a song, and it didn't sound half bad to me. And it was, something that was really, really, really positive and eating my time up in a way that just sitting around the apartment, sending resumes out and cooking eggs and watching TV wasn't delivering. So then I recorded another song, and that didn't sound half bad either, and then recorded another one, and at a certain point said, okay, well, let me just see if I can make this album, just to prove that I can, and have that one box that I can check off the list. And so I did, and this is it. Songs sort of span a really long length of time. Some of them were written back when I was in the GoStation. Some of them were written many, many, many years before that. Quite a few of them were written while I was actually making this record. One of them was written the night before I recorded it. I think they all follow a very, very similar musical theme. But as far as the approach to the songwriting, I can't really force those things, nor do I want to. I kind of feel like you can hear that in a record when it's been forced. I'm also not the best lyricist, so something needs to actually happen in order for me to really put pen to paper. I'm a complete organ slut. Just anytime I walk into a room and there's an organ there, I want to play it. There's just that very, very specific tone and timbre in organs. I love the way that there's a dissonance if you're hitting, a major second or a minor second that somehow sounds beautiful because it's played on an organ. I don't really know how that works or why it works, but it does. And with the Arturia stuff that's available now, I have hundreds of organ sounds that I could just sort of cycle through, and it got a bit kid in a candy store. There's a lot of organs interspersed throughout this record. There's also a fun sort of synthesizer toy called Swarmatron, which I had to fight really, really hard to not put on every song. It's a very complex instrument. I still haven't figured it out. I'm not sure I ever will. It's got all these interesting knobs and switches, and there are these two ribbons that create the notes, and there's no keys on it, and it's a weird instrument, but it creates these really beautiful, somewhere between organic and artificial soundscapes. That's on one song on the record. I don't know if I'll ever tackle it the way I've tackled a guitar or a piano, but it'll be a fun thing to keep messing around with. Would love to at some point, learn how to play saxophone. I tried once a few years back, and my lungs were not in great shape, and I just learned the first 5 notes of a nursery rhyme basically, and I was driving my neighbors crazy, so I stopped. But that's one that I definitely at some point would love to sort of wrap my arms around. I've been listening to so many things. Velvet Underground, Black Rebel Motorcycle Club are 2 of my favorite bands, have been for years. That sort of sound finds its way into a lot of, not necessarily the writing part, but the arranging and the instrumentation. But for the past year, I've been listening to just tons of film scores. Work by Thomas Newman, Hans Zimmer, the stuff that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are doing now, and I just really love different sonic textures and finding different contexts for instruments to live in, and I wanted this record to have a touch of a cinematic quality to it, for lack of a better word. And that all sort of found its way in there. Just really taking different layers of sound, different layers of noise, different instruments that I've never used before, and finding ways to bend those into the context of the songs was a really, really, really awesome sort of creative exercise. This one album by M83, Hurry Up We're Dreaming, I was listening to that a lot over the past year, and while I was recording this album. It's just such a sonically beautiful record. One of the most, just eargasm, pleasing things that I've ever listened to. Yeah. Absolutely love Oasis. Always will love Oasis. Still my favorite band of all time. You'll probably hear a lot of them in this too. I honestly do not know what minus32 heartbeat means. It's been rattling around in my head for, years, over a dozen years. It was the title of a book that I was writing, and it was a screen name for a while, and I don't remember where I came up with it, how I came up with it. I have no idea what it means. Hopefully at some point something up here will get jostled loose and I'll have one of those aha moments where it makes sense again. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure what happened there with the GoStation. It was 15 years ago. I was operating on quite a few substances back then. I think there was probably a lot of frustration floating around about where the band was going. We were a very, very small fish in a very, very big pond. It was New York City. It was the 2000s. There were bands everywhere, and most bands were doing much better than we were from a commercial sort of standpoint. And I think I probably took a lot of things more personally than I should have. I probably had a little bit too fragile of an ego. It's an interesting thing about being in a 5-person democracy, where everyone's really, really passionate about their ideas, and everybody is convinced that their way is the right way to go about things. And if you're not the best of friends, that can be a really tricky situation to navigate. And it's some bands are able to work their way through those things, and some bands have a more trying time of it. Just imagine being married to somebody and you're broke, and you both think that this way is the right way to go in order for things to get better, and you're a 1,000% convinced that you're correct, and there's no mediator. So, where do you go from there? But I had a really, really great time making music with those guys. I still see a couple of them fairly often. I think that what we did was really, really cool, a lot of fun, and got lots of memories or photos of memories of it. So yeah, that was that, and now we're here. I don't think I'll ever stop at this point now. Now that I have this setup and I've figured out a bit of a workflow. There are things in this world that I'm better at doing, but I don't love doing any of them as much as I love doing this. To me, it doesn't really matter if it sells 100 copies or 100,000 copies. It's just, this is what I really, really, really enjoy doing. So there'll be another record. Hopefully in the next couple of years, but can't promise anything.